time of the year where I talk trash about your favorite books and you hate me for it. Hey everyone, it's Emily. Today's video is going to be all about the worst books that I've read this year. This year I read 120 plus books and obviously some of them were not very good. There's going to be 4 different videos. I will be linking all of them down below once they're all up, but there's going to be my worst one, which is today, the best one, the most disappointing one, and the most surprising one. So I highly recommend you check those out once they're up and subscribe to not miss out on them. I think most of us, if not all of us, don't spend the time and money reading a book that they are hoping that they're gonna hate. So I didn't hope to hate these books, it just happened, they weren't for me. I'm gonna be explaining why, and then you're gonna be able to decide if you want to read them or not at this point. We're gonna start with a bang, like I'm not even gonna keep them for the end. The first book I want to mention is a cult favorite, everyone raves about it, and I just really didn't like it. And it's The Gunslinger by Stephen King, which is the first book in the Dark Tower series that everyone raves about. Like, this is like, oh, cult favorite fantasy, adult fantasy series, and I really didn't like it. Actually, even Stephen King says that it's not his best book, so I guess it might not be the most unpopular opinion. It was my first book that I've ever read from him, and people were saying that, oh, it's the best way to start, and no. I'll mention my favorite one and my best of 2017, so if you are wondering, would not recommend it starting with this one. I can understand maybe why some people like it. I eventually want to continue, but I'm really not in a rush anymore because this was so bad. It's a pretty short book. I have this edition with like pictures and everything, but can I just even mention that the pictures are not even at the right place in the books. Like, this is just super confusing. The writing is like over the top, like, you know, young author trying to use a lot of adverbs and like just showing that they can write really well, and really didn't like that. And overall, it was just super confusing and kind of boring, and I just, like, reading it, I was just thinking, what's the point? So, yeah, definitely one of the worst books that I've read this year. I will maybe eventually continue. I have the next 3 books. That's what happens when you go to a library sale and they're 25 cents, but yeah, I really didn't like it. I don't get it. The next book is a YA cult favorite on YouTube. Everyone seems to love it. Although when I did finally read it, it's when you buy the book that people come out and tell you, oh no, it's not good. And you're like, why didn't you tell me before I bought it? Shatter Me by Tara Mafi. This is raved about so much. And some people do mention that it gets better after the first book. I did buy the other ones. I will most likely finish them eventually, but wow, this was not good. The writing is basically what annoyed me the most. Like, the writing is just like this a lot. And then, like, she crosses sentences throughout the book, and it's just, like, you can see there's some crossed sentences. It just wasn't good. And obviously, if you don't mind that writing, it might be better. But this literally felt like, this is one of my pet peeves. When the first book in a series starts feeling like a prologue. This isn't a book. Like, this is literally 300 pages to start the story, and it just annoys me. Like, authors need to stop trying to spread books into like big series. It doesn't work. I didn't like it. The ending, I can see why maybe in a direction in the future could get better, but I didn't like it. There's obviously a love triangle-ish. No, this is basically what I don't like in YA books, all in one. So, one of the worst books that I've read this year, for sure. No. A new book that came out this year that everyone raves about, that I'm going to be including in the picture because I listened to the audiobook, which also wasn't that great, is When Dimple Met Rishi, which is supposed to be about an Indian American woman, well, teenage young adult woman, who decides to go to a like summer camp learning to basically create a nap. That's what she wants to do when she grows up, and then she convinced her parents to let her go because they do want her to have an arranged marriage. The premise is interesting. That could have been like super good. It wasn't. I was not even able to finish said audiobook because everything that I wanted to like about it was a complete fail. First off, her parents are tricking her to actually meet the boy they want her to marry. He's also going to that university summer camp thing. And she's mad at her parent for about like 5 seconds, which makes no sense to me. I would have been so pissed in her shoes. And then the story kind of becomes just straight up a love story. There's like nothing about the app, like literally nothing about the app till like towards the end. And there's like a dance competition. I thought it was supposed to be about an app. and her pursuing her dreams. But no, it's about her falling in love with the boy and just kissing and having sex with him, and just, it was just so annoying. And Dimple was not a nice person. Like, Rishi seemed like a nice boy, but like, she kept hitting him all the freaking time, and I just couldn't stand her. I didn't like the book. I did mention I didn't finish it. I don't understand why people love it. It just was bad. It was just a really crap book. So yeah, did not like it. One of the worst books that I've read this year. This one, it's totally on myself. That book didn't pretend to be a great book, great literature, and I totally blame it on the flu. But I read the selection and the whole trilogy. I don't know what I was expecting, but I had read the first chapter in a tri-chapter book tag where I was trying really popular YA books, and I didn't think it was that bad, and the writing wasn't horrible. It's just that the story is very, 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 very cheesy. You're following an American singer who lives in America and is a singer, you know, very original there. And she takes part into a basically TV reality show where I think it's like 40 of the girls get a chance to meet the prince, and he has to choose one of those girls to become the future queen. Like I said, I did it to myself. What did I expect? Love triangles. I didn't like that it was quite a bit of girl hate in the second book, and I wanted to see more. Like, it's a dystopian world, and I kind of wanted to see more of that too. And there's not much else to say. This series is basically like junk food. You're not even sure you're actually enjoying it, but you just can't stop. We're just gonna pretend that never happened. This one, I based my review on just the first book because I did read the whole trilogy this year, and I have other opinions on the other books, but the first one definitely is one of the worst books that I've read this year, and it is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And this is a YA fantasy, romance fantasy, where you're following a girl who is, you know, a normal human girl, and behind the wall that is basically her backyard, there are fairies that live there, and they're not very nice. And then you can just imagine, you know, love story. People kept saying that this is kind of a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and I kind of disagree. I can see why they would say that, but I still disagree. And I hated the love interest. Again, my opinion did change in the future, but again, basing it only on this one, I hated it. People kept saying that, oh my god, love story, the romance, they're so cute together. And I was like, no, he's such a jerk, and he's like abusive, controlling. I just really didn't like it. So I'm gonna end the review there because again, I would spoil the rest of the series, but this was bad. Straight up bad. The next one I hate with like a burning passion, which I feel like usually it's just like, oh, you know, the book was really not great. But this one, I just absolutely resent it. I'm considering keeping it just so I can keep hating on it. And it is Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, which was like probably the worst book that I've read this year. Like, this is it, the winner of the worst book. Like, so bad. First off, it's supposed to be an adult contemporary, where the main characters are in their 20s but act like they're 14. And again, this is literally everything I hate in one book. You're following, what's the name of the main character? Lincoln. Lincoln is like a 20-year-old something IT guy where his job is to just see the emails that are being flagged and just basically tell his coworkers that they're not allowed to talk about things that aren't work related. But he decides to read all of those emails, and he starts falling in love with a girl by reading and conversations. And then the story ensues. It's basically just him being a freaking creep. Turns out that the Lincoln character, who's supposed to be, you know, shy IT guy that is like living with his mom, she makes his lunch, he's just supposed to be basically, you know, someone you wouldn't even notice. Well, it turns out he's actually really tall, really hot, and he has multiple degrees and blah blah blah, and you're like... And then he ends up meeting her, and instead of finding him the freaking creep that he is, she decides to fall in love, and she's perfectly okay with him being a freaking creep. Can I say freaking creep more? Creep, creep, creep. To me, this was not a romance. This was literally like a thriller horror stories. Like, if this happened in real life, nobody would be like, damn, everything's fine. Or actually, if Lincoln wasn't hot and tall and perfect, she would have never been okay with this. Like, no. no. Yeah, this is the type of book when I see someone recommending, I'm like, I don't trust your opinion. Obviously people are allowed to like this, but I just know that we won't have the same taste at all. So if you are looking for horror contemporary book, this is it. So bad. The next one I don't have anymore because I already got rid of it, but it's the duology where the second book is The Rose and the Dagger, which is basically supposed to be a retelling of 1001 Night. And so this is going to be my most pity review of the whole year because it's literally going to be about how the main character is pretty. But like, Sherazade is so pretty. But like, really, she can't freaking shut up and always says the wrong thing at the wrong time. But she's pretty, so it's fine. Like, she's pretty. Have you met Sherazade? She's so pretty. Like, I mean, I'm perfectly okay with some main characters being pretty. It's fine, but I hate how it's so pushed in YA that it's either a really, really hot girl or a oh-so plain girl, but basically everyone wants her. And it's frustrating. It's like something I keep seeing over and over again. It's kind of really annoying me. The second half of the second book, there's definitely more fantasy elements that were good, but I feel like the whole emphasis of the book was how the main character is pretty and she's falling in love with that perfect boy that's killing everyone, but like, it's okay, he's cute, you know. I don't know, I just hated it. So like I said, pity, but I warned you, pity, but like, come on, there's freaking flying carpets in there, like rugs, carpets, but there's flying stuff there. But they managed to make it super boring, so. The next book is making me want to literally do a whole video ranting about YA books and why I hate them. Which is not true, by the way. There's plenty of YA books that I like. But like really popular ones that are raved about on YouTube, half the time I like hate them again with a burning passion. And this one is like making me want to actually do a full video. Which I think you're actually going to be wanting me doing because in quick reviews like this, it's hard to just mention everything that I hated. But I did do a pretty long review on this one on Goodreads, so I'll be linking that if you want to see it. But the next book that I absolutely did not like this year is The Unbecoming of Mary Dyer by Michelle Otkin. And this, again, had everything I hate. This book I actually read because once again it was in my tri-chapter book tag where I was reading Popular YA book, and the first chapter was actually intriguing. You're following the main character and she's playing with the Ouija board with her friend, best friend and a not so friend, and the Ouija board basically tells her best friend that the reason she's gonna die is her. So I was intrigued. I thought, maybe paranormal can be good. Well, this was a romance. This was not paranormal. There was just enough little bits that I was like, maybe, and then I got to the end. I was like, no, I'm not continuing this series. There's no way I'm gonna do that to myself. You're following the main character who is, again, an oh-so-plain main character. And her first day at school, she starts hating the pretty girl because F other girls, right? And she attracts this really popular disheveled boy with that British accent, and turns out he's actually freaking rich too because of course. And from then just into freaking mess. He literally tells her at one point, are you ready for this? You're not like other girls. Oh, yes. Seriously, like I don't understand why people think it's a good thing. Other girls are freaking awesome. Like I want to be like other girls. So this was bad. And then literally it will quote her Lolita, the book, you know, sentences upon sentences. He just remembers all of it because that's how teenagers talk. And obviously there's one teacher in there, the Spanish teacher, that absolutely hates her for no reason, literally like throw things at her, and then when she gets her revenge, she basically becomes bilingual in Spanish overnight. Again, these things happen all the time. So those are the things that I remember just right now, but really this was bad, the whole thing. So yeah. The next book is a classic with a twist. I was really intrigued. It's A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, but it's the graphic novel version, which I thought, man, that's brilliant. Like people that won't necessarily want to commit to the full size of a classic, sometimes, you know, the writing can be quite long and the books in general were really long. This could be a great way to just determine if you like it enough to want to commit the time and energy on a full book. And this was really bad. I mean, technically you go through the book fairly quickly. You spend what, like an hour or two on this? But then I had no idea who the characters were and what the story was. Like, I was just confused the whole time. So if you were thinking about doing this, don't do it. Either spend the time on the full-size book or just skip it. And it was bad. Just really one of the worst books that I've read for sure. The last two I'm gonna go quickly because they were just boring. There's not much to say about them. The first one is You Will Know Me, which is supposed to be a mystery, and there's absolutely no mystery. You kind of know what's happening from the beginning. So it was boring. And you're just following a family, and when the main character is like a teenage girl who is really into gymnastics, and it was boring. No mystery at all. And then last but not least, there's The Wanderers, which I listened to the audiobook, and even the poor narrator could not make this book better. It was just boring, and the premise sounded interesting. You're following main characters, kind of a slice of life type of thing, and you're following astronauts and their families before they're preparing basically to go to Mars, which, hello, I'm into that. The whole book, I was waiting for something to happen. I was like, something actually gonna happen. So if you like something that's like slice of life, contemporary, kind of boring, maybe you're gonna be into it, but I did not like it. Yeah, the whole time I was just waiting for something to happen. So would not be able to recommend this book, but if that's your jam, maybe you'll like it more than me. So those are all the books that I really didn't like, kind of hated, and basically the worst ones that I've read this year. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section what are your worst books of the year, which one you really did not like. Don't forget to subscribe and not miss any future videos. Give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I will be linking on the screens of the videos that I've done, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.